Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today, oh my gosh, it has been intense. I have literally been going for like 16, 18 hours on just pulling so much data for this upcoming KvK group merge preview that we are going to be showing you all the bonanzas from Kingdoms 27 through 90. Now, I went all out for you, fam. This is why it took me so long, because as you'll see shortly, I ended up pulling way more data and compiling than I usually do for my top 25 stats. That's why it's taken so long, and you're seeing me upload this a little bit later in the day compared to earlier, because I also have to find time to do it. So we are going to take a quick look in-game at, just as I mentioned, right, the kingdoms. This is my scout account, but you can see here, right, I have pretty much accounts in every kingdom, right? If I scroll all the way to the bottom, it's all the way to 169. Now, I don't know if there's probably a new one out by now, I'm sure. Oh, there's not. So 170 will be the newest whenever that ends up coming. But just to go over a quick recap, you got S27 here all the way down to S90, right? So that's what we're looking at for this group. You can also see here by confirming, right, we got a little more than 2 days here until 618 pops, which is when we'll see the season summary. That's going to show us the KvK kingdoms, or the groupings / pairings that'll happen. So without further ado, let us show off the stats, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of some informaciano, or informaciano, whatever it may be. You guys know where I'm going with this. So all this data was collected after reset on the 14th, going into closer to the 15th, but not all the way there. I wanted to make sure that when I pulled the data, it was not hitting a reset, so that we wouldn't see large bumps from players making purchases, etc., where you're going to see basically just higher margins of error. Now, I have gone, you're going to see here already, I have formatted everything. I'm going to show you all of these tabs. So I'm going to show you servers for top 7 alliances. We'll show you top alliances, top player power, T5s unlocks, T25s, and I'm going to show you the bubble board. So we're going to do all of that, and everything is already formatted or ordered in top down, so strongest or highest powered, etc., going down to lowest. I also did the top 64 kingdoms, and I did 100 alliances and top 100 players. So we went deeper this time than we did with the top 25 stats. Also, for those of you wondering, will this spreadsheet become available? It will, but as usual, I'm going to wait 24 hours until it does. So this will become available sometime, whatever the UTC is currently. I don't know. Let's look real quick. It's 21 UTC. So around 21, 22 UTC tomorrow on the 16th is when I'll have this available. I will post the link in the pinned comment / description here on this video, so you can always come back and take a look, and it'll be there. Okie dokie. Let's start top down, and we're going to go over the leaderboards here, and then at the very end, after we go through each tab, we're going to come back and talk about potential group pairings, right, that we would either like to see or that we think make the most sense. So let's start off with going top down. I'm just going to kind of show everything off. I'm not going to do the whole speech and everything that I usually do, because there's just too much data and it would take too long for me to go through everything, and I'm sure it would probably just bore the heck out of people's minds. So I'll show you these in batches, right? So here's the top 26 kingdoms. Remember, there's 64 that we're going to show you here, but you can see 32, right, still kind of holding number one in this group set, 33, 31, 34, rounding out the top 4 there, right? Each of these above 12 billion, right? Then you have the next threshold about 10 billion. Then you could see 999 getting to 8s, then getting to 7s. We'll scroll down now to show you more. So we got 26 through 51, right? So here's kind of the second half. You can see very close when it comes to 7s and the 6s, a lot of 6s for the 6 billion range. And then we get a little bit down here right near the bottom. So this kind of shows you from 64 on up. And again, I'm just going to kind of scroll here and do this, and then we're going to go over to the next tab. So again, this video will probably be quicker than usual. I will touch on some things throughout once we get to the end, and or possibly when we get to certain boards. But for the most part, This just took a long time to do. Again, I also want to say I really appreciate the messages that I get, whether it's comments or even the DMs that I get to as well from players from these specific kingdoms, or even those that are not in these kingdoms that are just watching the video, where they tell me just, hey, thanks for putting in all this work. Again, it is very labor intensive, so I always appreciate when people take time to watch the video, these types of videos all the way through, or at least as long as you'd like, right? Because again, it does help out. Alrighty, let's get to alliances now, after we've kind of shown you kingdoms. So we have 100 alliances here that we've pulled. So I'm going to show you these in batches, so we'll probably have to do 4 because I can probably only show 24 at a time. But you can see here, going top down, right, you end up having, for just kind of our top 10, if you will, right, you got BDO, 5.5 bill from 32, DNS, right, so top 2 alliances from 32. Then you got 31, SN Super NASTi, BXS Bloodos from 33, NTS from 49, 3.5 GDZ from 34, MT from 36, HF from 38, Jedi from 33, and then you got BDM from 32. So you got 3 alliances here in the top 10 from 32. You have 33, 33, 2 from 33 in the top 10, and then it's just spread out a little bit more. So again, you can kind of see where that is. Now, I didn't do any type of compilations like I usually do by showing you how many kingdoms have this amount of alliances, just because I'm going to be making the sheet available, and honestly, it is just a lot of extra work at this time. But we are going to show you kind of everything in bunches. Cool, so this should be 25 through 50. Let me see if I can scroll one more to 26 here. Oh, it's not going to let me. How dare you? Oh, there we go. Cool, we got it. So here's 26 through 50 that you can see, again, along with the server numbers and names. Again, still pretty much within that kind of mid 2 billion range that we're seeing. Some kingdoms obviously have more alliances here than others. Then we'll get over to, we'll show you 50, I think that's about right, 50 through 50, 75. And you're seeing kind of getting to low 2 bills, high, almost 2 bills, or kind of high 1.9s. And then we'll show you the next range here, which is going to be 75 through 100, right? And then you can kind of see what the bubble is, 1.53 billion from Kingdom 35 on up. So you're kind of seeing what the wide range is there. Again, there's a lot that's in here, and I may do more of kind of a follow-up summary video potentially at some point. This, for the most part, is just a lot of raw data that we're showing you right now. Now let's get to personal power. So we did top 100 players here as well for personal power. You can see just kind of rounding out some of the top players above 100 mil. You got Nefisto here from 33, right? Number 1 strongest player still in the game at 234. You got 32 Envy here from 173 million from Kingdom 32, 155. Now, this is interesting when we look at the number of players itself, right? So we can kind of do, I don't know if this is going to work here. Basically, I have to do like a quick search for, and minus those, 1, 2, 3, I don't think there's any others. Oops, 3, 4, 5. So 5. So that's 29. So you can see here, 32 has 29. And I bet you people are like, boss, why didn't you just do this in the last one? I just thought of it. Sorry, we'll do it like this. So we'll do Kingdom 32 has, I think that was 29 we said? Yeah. So they got 29 people here. If we look at 33 at the minus the extras, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at 14. So there you go. So 33's got 14 in there, right? Let's look at, how about 31? So not too many. 1, 2, nothing extra there. So they got 5. I actually thought that might have been a bit more, but so again, I'm only showing a couple. I'll probably do a deeper dive on this a little bit later, but let me show you the next range here for 2650. You can see the next group of players that are here. And then we'll show you the next set, 51 through 75. Right, so now you're kind of getting low, mid 80s, high 70s. Then we'll look at the bubble here. At least for the top 100 at 73. That's kind of where I stopped off at 73.8 million. Kingdom 27. That kind of rounds out your top 100 players, right, for this upcoming grouping. Now let's get to T5. So this is interesting to me, right? When we're thinking about now, the T5 threshold's kind of around 43, 44 mil. So I was kind of basically basing it around 43.5 million. That's for at least one T5 unlock. And this is how many you can see from each of the kingdoms, right? Now we went all the way to 64. Yes, Woody, thank you. And you could see here that we're at 73 for Kingdom 32. Then you're getting at 36 for Kingdom 33, 20 for 31, kind of rounding out your top 3, 34 is 19, 36 at 15, along with 38, 49 at 14, and 65 at 14, and then you got 45 at 10, then top 10 kind of breaks off out of that top 10 at 9. So you can kind of see where those are. We'll show you these as well as we scroll. And then you can see 5, 4, 4, 4, 3s for these, and then we'll kind of get to the bottom set here, right, which there's only 2 kingdoms that do not have any T5 players at the moment, which is just 30 and 84. But you can kind of see how the range goes. I just always find this really interesting when you're thinking about kind of how those matchups go. Same thing here, which is 32, 33, 31, and 34. Those are also the top 4 kingdoms in the game. So you can kind of see where there's some relatable stats that kind of compare across different data sets. Now let's look at Castle 25s. This is interesting because you'll see, once again, 32, 33, 31, 34. You're seeing some consistency here, right? It's having the most amount of Castle 25s. 32 and 33, the only kingdoms right now that have 200 plus players at Castle 25 are higher. So we'll show you these off here. This is kind of the middle of the group from 26 down to 51. And then we'll show you 51 all the way to 64, right? So kind of 15 is the bottom end from Kingdom 30, and then all the way up there. Now, I'm going to show you guys the bubble boards. Bubble boards, to me, are really interesting here, and everything is structured as well. So what we did for bubble is basically the entry level to get into a top ranking, right? So you're looking at the number 200 player power, number 200 personal merit, number 200 RSS gather, number 200 Dragon Trail. So everything that you see here is the number 200 position from each of these 4 boards, but they're just ordered now in high to low order, right? So the number 200 person in 32 is at 22.7 million. The number 200 person in 33 is at 17.03 million power, right? Meaning that whatever this number is, the next 199 players above them have more, either more power, they have more personal merits, more RSS gathered, more Dragon Trails. Right? So this is interesting because I like this because it kind of shows you where the bubble, once again, 32, 33, 31, 34, you're seeing that trend, right, consistently. Same thing with merits too as well, right? And you can even see it here, RSS gather, 32, 33, 31, 34. Some of the positions change, but for the most part, it's the same group. Same thing here, 31 through 34. You can see that those 4 kingdoms have 200 people at 279 Dragon Trail or more, right? So you're getting a lot of that extra prestige, a lot of that extra EXP because those players are already kind of maxed out for that first season of their DT. RSS gathered, right? You can see here kind of a 111 million jump from number 4 to number 5 on the RSS gather. So again, some very telling data if you're really looking at everything in kind of more of a deep dive format. I know it's not necessarily what we're really doing right now, but I'll show you the middle of the group here for these kingdoms, on kind of where they are, player power, merits. It is interesting, especially when you look at kind of the position for how high some of the rankings are compared to some of the others. And then we'll show you some of the bottom sets here, or I should say at the very bottom. We'll kind of show you those for those number 200s. And then I think that's probably going to be it. Let's go back to the top. And yeah, so again, guys, now let me show you my groupings, right? So these are some of the groupings that I think make a lot of sense when it just comes to just kind of showing you, based on these boards, some of the other boards that I've taken a look at. And for the most part, this is pretty much just kind of going in order of general total power. But I'm sure if we compare kind of where the number 200 player positions are, those pieces of data will line up with when you're looking at total power. And like we talked about, 32, 33, 31, 34, I think it just makes sense, right? There's a few ways you can do this, but I think if you're looking at it from just what is the most logical, just pair the kingdoms up based on how they rank power-wise, right? Now, sure, maybe you want to add a few other factors in there, right? Maybe you say, okay, well, look, we're not going to start everyone off strongest at first. What we'll do is we'll pair like 2 of the strongest and then 2 of the weakest, like 2 of the low end, right? So maybe you do 32, 33, and then you'll do 28, 29, right? And then you'll do 31-34, and then you'll do 27-70, right? And you just kind of keep going in and in and in like a sandwich in that way. That's one way you could do it. The other way is just do it straight down. Pair these four, pair these four, pair these four, and then just keep it pushing, right? To me, I just think that makes sense if you're really looking to try and get the most out of it. I can tell you, for someone who played Infinity Kingdom for a while, they attempted to not do this when they first started. They were trying to kind of stretch out before the big kingdoms started fighting each other. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what you want to see, right? You also have the opportunity for things to happen and players to move from some of those kingdoms when those situations are happening. And the fact is there's just not really a lot of elements in the game right now because of the limited migration system where it really allows for more player movement. Along with that, you're not really seeing true merges being done that allows for kind of the bottom end to work their way up and kind of catch up to some of these top kingdoms in those respects. And there's just other things that obviously probably could be done as well that I'll probably touch on in a different video. But for the most part, right, these are some of the pairings that I think make sense based on what the leaderboards are here for the power differentials between the top and the bottom. And who knows if we're going to see that or not. Like I said, this is what I would like to see, and I think those are one of the two ways that you can go about doing it, at least from what feels authentic and what feels rational and logical at face value, right? If you're just going to do straight 4x4x4, going off of this power board and maybe some others. The interesting part is that we don't know necessarily what and how they're exactly going to do. We have some ideas, right, where they've talked about activity, purchasing power, actual power in game, right? And who knows if there's any other metrics that they're going to go off of that COD CS hasn't already articulated to us publicly. So again, take these for what you will. I would love to hear your thoughts though, right, on anything I've shared. Let me know, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree with the pairings? Do you have another idea on how to approach pairings? Are you shocked by any of the data that we're showing thus far for maybe where some kingdoms are ranking, from where some others are not ranking? And then any ideas, even as maybe my last final one, on thoughts when it comes to, right, how do you think we can work on either doing things like mergers or other ways to navigate being able to kind of close power gaps so that way we're potentially able to have maybe more fair or balanced PvP or fights for future KvK merges? Or is it, hey, look, this is what it is, maybe we'll just kind of keep working on migration, etc. Would love to hear anything and everything. Let me know in the comments down below. This was a ton of work, as I mentioned multiple times, and man, I'm pooped. As always, I hope you enjoy. Until next time, I will catch you later.